Hey guys, this is the day that you've been waiting for, and I have been waiting for, probably your parents have been waiting for. We are going to learn how to divide the traditional way. The way that I was taught, the way that your parents were taught, the good old fashioned way. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. You need to know these vocabulary words. You need to know those vocabulary words. Okay? You need to know when you have a division problem that's written like this, the first number, which is usually the bigger number, I said usually because it's not always that case. This is the bigger number. It's called the dividend. That is what you are dividing into. See, that's how I remember it, dividend, because we're dividing in. So we're dividing into it. The divisor is what you are dividing by. And your quotient is your answer. Now, if you look at it this way, we have our divisor. We call this the house. Okay, this is the house. The divisors on the outside of the house, the dividends on the inside, and the quotients on the roof. Now, do not let this one right here freak you out. Okay, this is when we talk about fractions. Sometimes when you see a problem or you get it and you're dealing with a fraction, you may have a problem that ends up like this. All that means is you are going to turn it into that right there. That's all it means. But also, you may have it, and we'll learn about this, where it actually gives you a decimal number, but we're not going to worry about that right now. We're not going to worry about the decimal numbers. So, there's three ways for right now that we can have a division problem written. We can have the horizontal way, that's just straight out, the house, or the fraction. Okay, so this is an example of how you would do the horizontal way. You would just write it straight out. And the only time like I would accept this method as an answer if it's really easy problems, real easy. Okay, and so we'd identify the 240 as the dividend. So if we were to have to rewrite this, the dividend, the 2 is the divisor, and 220, not 220, 120 is your quotient. So this right here is just something to get us used to, okay? Used to what we're doing. Now, remember, the dividend, okay, when we write it straight, your dividend is the first number written. It's usually the biggest number. And then your divisor is the second number, what's usually being divided into, like what we're going to divide it into. And then your quotient is your answer. So, here's what I want you to do. Okay? You are going to do these 8 problems. And all you have to do is circle. So, like number 1, it says circle the dividend. Even if I didn't know offhand, I would look up here. Guys, use what you got. Where's your dividend? It's right here. And I will tell you this, make sure you circle only that number, because I guarantee you, I will have people trying to pick up a pencil who would come over here and do that. Well, I'm going to say, little kid, what number did you circle? So please make sure when you come up and circle that you circle nice and neat, okay? Guys, I'm really serious about this neatness this 9 weeks. It needs to, we have to work on our neatness. All right, and then you do the same thing for number 2, the divisor. The divisor is the smaller number that's going into it. All right, now, if you want to stop the video right now and work, that's fine with me. Or if you want to continue working and then just work on all the problems at one time, that's fine with me also. All right, now we're going to go to the next page. And the next page is something that we're just going to work with, okay? So We're just introducing this. We're dipping our toe in, okay, guys? We're dipping our toe because y'all, unfortunately, did not get to do much of this in the spring semester. So this is 15 divided 3 different ways with 3 different formats. So 15, right here, you would say 15 divided by 3. Or you would say it's still 15 divided by 3, or you can say 3 into 15. And then right here, you would go 15 over 3, or 15 divided by 3. It's however you want to answer that question. Now, division is the inverse of multiplication. So when you have problems like this, you have 12 divided by 2. It's basically asking you what times 2 gives you 12. What times 2 gives me 12? 6. Okay. It's kind of like those problems we were working on earlier this week. You just have to rearrange the numbers. So basically, okay, remember, this would be the answer in a multiplication problem. What times 4 gives me 8? The answer is 2. What times 3 gives me 9? The answer is 3. Same thing down here. What times 5 gives me 10? 2. Okay. What times 4 gives me 16? 4. Now, guys, just remember, these are the easy ones. They do get harder. What times 9 gives me 18? 2. Now, see, that's all it is. All right, now, this is another one. Okay, this is another way, and I'm going to show you how this one is done. Okay, now, luckily, all of these numbers go into a single time. So this is the house method. Now, I will tell you this, and this is one of the things about me. You may not like it, but I am very particular on how these are written and how you work them out, because I want to make sure that you, as a student, have a clear visual on what you're doing. That means that your numbers are lined up, they're neat, you're showing me your work. If I have anyone else turn in a paper that just has answers written beside the problem or on top of the problem, they will be marked wrong from this point forward. Unless you can work them in your head and just give me your answer just like that, you have to show me your work. This is easy. Now, when you have problems like this, you start off a number at a time. And in division, it's kind of reverse of multiplication. You actually start with the larger number. So you say, will 7 go into 1? No, it will not. So I'm going to put a 0 there. Now I'm going to go, will 7 go into 14? How many 7s are in 14? We'll have 7 and then 14. So 2. All right, so now we divided, now we multiply. 2 times 7 is 14. We divided, we multiplied, now we subtract. And our answer is 0. So, answer's 2. Now there's a little thing. It's divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. We're not doing the bring down yet. But basically, it's like, if you remember it, dad, mom, sister, brother, and then sometimes you have Rover, the dog. So this are a group of letters that you're going to be hearing a lot from this point forward. Dad, mom, sister, brother. It's a pattern. You say this every time you start a division problem. But we're only going to be working on dad, mom, sister. Okay? So 2. No, we're going down here. Okay, 7. Will 7 go into 6? No, it will not. Will 7 go into 63? Yes, it will. How many times? How many 7s are in 63? If you said 9, you're correct. Okay, so 9 times 7 is 63. And then when I subtract, I get 0, and I'm just going to do my 2 lines. And there you go. And this is another reason why I have you circle your answers like this, because the numbers can run together. 17, 20 divided by 2. Will 2 go into 2? Yes, it will. One time. Now, this is where we're going to do the bring down. 2 times 1 is 2. That's 0, so we're going to bring down this. And 2 will go into 0 0 times. Okay, 16 divided by 2. 2 will not go into 1. But 2 will go into 16 how many times? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. 9 times. Now, the whole thing about dividing, not 8 times, the whole thing about dividing is when you find the number, you cannot go over it, or it has to be like in between if it's not like a multiple of that number. So 8 times 2 is 16, and we're done. Okay, 56 divided by 8. So 8 will not go into 56, but 8 will go into 56. Let me start all over. 8 will not go into 5, but it will go into 56. You just have to count. You have 8, 16, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48. Oh, my word just went blank. Wait, I'm counting by 8s. I just totally messed up this problem, guys. I do apologize. Counting by 8s. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56. This is why I need kids in the room. They tell me when I'm doing something wrong. All right, so that is 7 times, and it's 56. All right, 6 will go into 48. Okay, 6 will not go into 4, but it will go into 48. How many times? Count by 6s now. Count by 6s now. We have 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48. 6 times. No, yep, 8 times. And that's all that is, guys. That is all that is. So that is why I have been stressing multiplication this whole time, because multiplication and division go hand in hand like addition and subtraction. Okay? You have to know one to get to do the other. And subtraction is also a very important part of division and following a pattern. Okay, the fractional portion right here. We have 81 over 9. So basically you're saying how many times will 9 go into 81? And it's 9 times. I'm going to do this before I go down here, okay? So then we have 20 over 4. So this is what we call an improper fraction, by the way, if I haven't said that before. You cannot have an improper fraction, because an improper fraction is when the numerator is larger than the denominator. It's called a proper fraction when the number on top is lower than the number on the bottom. So how many times will 4 go into 20 without going over? Okay, we have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. 5 times. Okay, 8 into 64. How many times will 8 go into 64? What times 8 gives me 64? I tried, it's 8. Okay, next problem is 36 divided by blank gives me 6. So this is actually like what we talked about up top. You take your answer, which is 6, you take your quotient, times what number gives me 36. And see why I said it's so important to know your multiplication facts. What times 6 gives me 36? Well, it's 6. What times 3 gives me 21? That's right, 7. What times 5 gives me 100? Okay, let's do this. If I didn't have that extra 0 there and I just said 10, what times 5 gives me 10? You would say 2, right? Well, I'll have an extra 0, so you just pin a 0 to the end and you get 20. All right, let's go to this right here. It says we have to write the division problems in 3 different ways. I just read that direction wrong. You do not need to solve. Okay, so we're not solving because if we did, some of them we would have remainders, and we don't want that. But we have to show the 3 different ways of division. Now remember, they gave you examples right up here. Guys, if you look around your worksheets, you could see answers and directions and examples all over it. So what we got to do is we have to write these down here 3 different ways. So I have 38 divided by 7. Okay, so write it as you hear it. 38 divided by 7. Now you have to write it 2 different ways. The first way is the house. So 7's outside the house, 38's inside. And then the fraction, 38's on top, 7's on the bottom. Okay, 28, 60 divided by 5. We have 60 divided by 5. And just rewrite it again. 5's on the outside, 60's on the inside, 60's on top with 5. Now I want you to do 29 and 30. All right, now I'm going to let this be the first part of the math video. I'm not going to squeeze the second part in here because it's something that's different. So this is part 1. Once you completely finish this, make sure you have completely finished it, the front and this side. And then you can get started. We're going to work on some of these. So I will talk to y'all in a minute.